super excited to have you back talking about numbers, all things fun about being a food or event business professional. You're back at Green Eyed Ambition page. I thought this would be yet another great time to talk about numbers. Yes, that probably doesn't excite you, but it's very key for us to know if we're going to be growing the business that we want, because we're building season upon season, quarter upon quarter, so we can tell if our business is growing or not growing, because that's why we're here, peeps. Let's go ahead and get into it. I took a little break. Now it's time to go inside and get some work done.
Step to the right, let's glide for the night. Yeah, we gon' party on Sunset. Living the Hollywood life, seeing them Hollywood sights. Sunset Boulevard, home from home, always a no-do zone when we party on Sunset. Feel the bass in the streets, the city's heartbeat is.
So let's jump right into the conversation for today. Q3, if you've never heard of it, third quarter is going to be July through September. Because quarters, there's 12 months in a year, you divide by 3, you get 4 quarters. So this is Q3 that's starting effectively on July 1st. I have done previous videos where I was talking about why it's important to plan. I will be sure to have a link here so that way you can look at some of the previous videos that I have done regarding reviewing your numbers, having a strategy so that you can hit your goals. So today's video is really intended to be able to show you how I'm going to go about planning third quarter. I'm going to give you some numbers. I don't mind being transparent, but will I show everything? No, but I will share with you a good amount of my numbers so that you can have a better understanding about how I go about doing this. So I'll be sharing my screen at different parts of this video so that you can see exactly the platform that I use so that I keep my business organized. Plus, that way you can see how my other team members have access to different important information that is pertinent to the Lux Giving brand that I have. For those of you that are new to this page, my name is Jesse. I am a corporate event planner that has been in the industry for over 10 years, and on this platform, Green Eyed Ambition, I love to show other entrepreneurs that are in the food and event business on how to be able to upscale your business to multiple 6 figures and beyond. Today's conversation is going to be helpful for you to be able to know how to start planning out your third quarter if you have not done so before. The first part to actually planning out a quarterly goal list is to we want to review your previous quarter's results. It's going to help you of understanding what actions produce what results if you actually were tracking it. I always take time to look back at what worked well, what are some areas that we had a little bit of improvement, what are some areas that I was hoping we would have had improvement, and looking at why those things did not occur so that I can actually look at how I can improve and look at if I need coaching, if I need to start delegating some tasks to team members, whatever the case is. Reviewing your actions is key for you to know the health of your business. So the first step you want to do is reviewing your previous quarter so that you can move forward with planning your next quarter. Now that you've been able to review your results from the previous quarter, I like to now think about what services the company is going to be highly focusing on going into the upcoming quarter. I find that what people find themselves being victim to doing is that they'll say, I want to hit this dollar amount, but not really knowing what that looks like, what kind of services you're offering. Yes, there are some parts of just getting things done, but you have to know yourself. If you know that creating a goal without actually having a game plan and you're not going to beat yourself up if you don't hit that goal, you might want to actually do it the way that I'm going to be recommending today. So you want to think about the services you're going to be focusing on so that you can actually start to have more of a game plan to then figure out how much revenue you're planning on hitting. So I'm going to share my screen with you so that you'll be able to see more about the platform that I use and how I'm going to keep track of it. I wanted to share with you my screen so you can get an idea of how I keep my quarters organized. I am still a planner girl, but I do like to keep things on electronic format so that it's easy for other people to have access to, not just only me. Even if you are a solopreneur right now, you want to be thinking about what processes or platforms you can use so that when you have someone supporting you, that you can easily communicate. So as you can see, I got this inspiration on quarterly planning from Elise Dharma. I will post her video in the description because I love that video. And I also did a class with her at the beginning of the year, which was really helpful. And I love that she broke things down quarterly, which also tied into the 12-week plan book that I read before. So I'll also have the link for that because the 12-week plan year is a great book for you to read. So the main services that my company wants to focus on going into next quarter is going to be event consulting, VIP days, and then event coordination, along with sponsorships. So I will typically write out, these are going to be the 3 to 4 things that I am focusing on. So let's say you are a caterer. You may be focusing on selling individual meals, or private chef, and in catering, it just depends. You have to know your business, and you might only have 2 things that your company offers. There's nothing wrong with that. Just be aware. The key to this part is knowing what is your customer average spend on these types of activities, so that way you can know your capacity and what your average customer spends with you to create these types of services. This is really important for you to be able to know, because in order for you to plan realistically, you have to know exactly how many events you can do or how many of the service you can do. I can say that next quarter I want for my company to do over 100 events. I currently do not have the admin support to make that happen, as well as the structure to be able to have 30 to 50 events every month. We are going to be working on that internally to be able to accomplish that, but we're not going to just say this without understanding the capacity. I hope that makes sense. All right, so with me, I know that realistically for event consulting, the goal would be to have at least 2 event consulting clients that confirm that they want to work with Luxgiving in 3rd quarter. So I'm just going to say 2. For VIP days, realistically, in a 3-month period, I can realistically do about 3. Because I know that a VIP day is going to require for me to block off several days to get done, which is fine because the compensation for it is very comfortable. But I don't want to say that I'm going to do 30 VIP days, because that will impact other parts of my business by putting that large load on it. As far as event coordination, the goal is to be doing at least 20 events a month. So that will be a 60 event goal. As well as the final one for sponsorships, the goal is to be able to get 3 brand sponsorships. So now that I know what the company can realistically handle, it helps me with being able to be clear about these are the goals we're going after, so that I don't end up finding myself suffering from shiny object syndrome. I'm not sure if you have ever suffered from this, but this is something that it's very easy to fall victim to, where you get this really great idea, you're like, oh, I'm gonna do it. Then what happens is that weeks go by, months go by, and your initial goal isn't accomplished because you have allowed yourself to be distracted to doing something else. So this is why I like to have clarity on the type of service that I am offering so that I can make sure I have the right partners available, so that the admin team is locked in and they're clear about what we're focusing on, so that there's not all of this, I call it guess a chance living, as we're trying to run businesses. When we're running businesses, there is a certain level of leadership, professionalism, and strategizing that is really essential for you to not feel overwhelmed as a leader. Now that brings me to the third part, to planning out your actual quarter. And that's going to be setting marketing goals. The reason why I think this is very important is because you want to actually start tracking the visibility of your brand, seeing about your analytics to ensure that your company is moving forward, so that you can see with sureness what is really working with your business, how are you really getting clients, so that you can put more effort into the things that are going to be able to produce a better result, compared to you thinking and assuming that this specific action is what's bringing you clients. But when you start to look at your numbers, you'll actually see that no, I am getting traction from this other service. So I'm going to break it down a little bit more for you, because this may not be the clearest for you, but I'm really wanting to be that after you watch this video, that you are inspired to actually apply this into your business. And if any point you are just like, I really want more clarity, I am tired of just trying to figure all this stuff out, we need to get on the phone and do a strategy session so that you can really have clarity about your business. Because not understanding these things actually was costing me my sanity and actual business growth, because I did not really know what was working in my business to be able to understand how to get results. And this might look like to you, oh, I need to get more Instagram views. If I get more Instagram views, then it's going to help. But if you don't know if most of the leads that actually convert to purchase from you are not from social media, or maybe they're from Facebook, not Instagram, you may find yourself tempted to always be focused on Instagram Reels when that's not what's actually helping you to get paid clients. So this is why you want to take time to look at your marketing numbers and analytics so that you can really start to have clarity on what's really getting you leads and what's helping you to hit your goals. Just like I have these services that I'm aiming to have the company accomplish in third quarter, I don't want to use my valuable time doing actions that will not produce results. So I'm going to share my screen so you can be able to see exactly how we keep track of these numbers and what are the key numbers that we are going to be watching. So in my Asana board, I have my revenue goals and I also have my biz stats. This is what I consider all of our marketing business statistics. I will give you the main ones that my company follows, but you have to know exactly, based off the type of business that you have, what are the ones you need to keep track of so that you have clarity on how to make your business grow. But again, if you're not sure, this is when we need to set up a time and talk. Okay, so the first one that we're monitoring right now, our main goal for third quarter is all about exposure. I've often said on this platform multiple times that we tend to find a good bulk of our income comes from fourth quarter. Yes, fourth quarter is when we find that people want to do all these holiday parties, they have extra money to spend. In my industry, people often say, if we don't use it, we lose it. So that's when we're emptying out the budget so that people can get more funding for the next year. So we are focusing on getting as much exposure and visibility in our target audience for event planning in third quarter so that enough people know about us so that we can get an abundance of business for the fourth quarter. So one of our main platforms that we are using to be able to grow our platform, our business, is LinkedIn. You won't see me talk much about Instagram in this video specifically because most of our business really comes from LinkedIn. and that type of visibility. So I recently decided to create a LinkedIn newsletter, which has been super beneficial. We currently have 796 people. So I'm gonna just write this out. So currently the LinkedIn article has 796 subscribers. Ideally, what we want to be able to do is have a 15% increase on those subscribers. So I just multiply 796 by 15. Then I'm going to add that to 796, and that equals 915 as the goal. And what I'll go ahead and do is fast forward this part. So I'm going to put all the different fields that we're going to be actually monitoring so that you can get an idea of the types of statistics my company is going to be actually using. So I'm going to fast forward now. Okay, so I went ahead and I filled out all of the things that we're going to be keeping track of on LinkedIn. So what I did is I went through all of my averages, and the way I figured out what my current average number over the last quarter was, I added up my last 3 posts, my last 3 months, divided them by 3, and then it gave me that number. So what I ended up doing was that I actually then multiplied that number by 1.5, and that's how I got 915. Then the impressions currently are at 185 impressions. So the goal is to have an average of 214. Right now we're getting around 4 to 4.8 likes or reactions on posts. The goal is to get it closer to 6. We only have 1 comment out of the last quarter on our post on this article. So the goal is to be able to average at least 1 or more comments on each post. Same thing with the shares. And then right now we're having an average of 416 views on these posts. So the goal is to improve that to a minimum of 478. Then finally, our goal is to be able to increase our LinkedIn profile for the company to 214. You might be saying to yourself, Jesse, why are these numbers are even important? Because we're using LinkedIn as a sales funnel into our business. This is how you know or you'll be able to have a better visibility of what is working in your company and what kind of actions that can be produced for it. So what we can then do is look at the end of Q3 and see, okay, we've hit these numbers. How many leads did we get? How many clients did we get? Did this help us with being able to hit our goals? But if we're not managing this, what will happen is then we'll feel like we're putting all this effort into doing LinkedIn, but we aren't really able to see how the business is being impacted by these actions. And you really want to know this because this is how you're going to truly know what's working in your business. Plus, what you'll find is that by not tracking it, we won't realize these small wins, which are really big wins if you think about it. Like, think about how crowded a room would be if you had 180 something people in it or 400 something people in it. What can happen is that we'll say, well, it didn't get 1,000 views or 1,000 likes, so it's not worth it. But have you ever tried to get 30 people in a room, more or less than 100 to 200 people in a room? You want to see how views impact your business and the amount of sales that you're wanting to have. I want to also give you some other analytics that are going to be great for you to track. So let's say you do not use LinkedIn, you use Instagram. You would apply the same principle to your business so that you can actually know if if you're making progress on your marketing and what kind of results that come with it. So if you are using any other social platform, you would just do the exact same thing that I just showed you on LinkedIn for that specific platform. The other platforms that we're going to be monitoring are going to be our Pinterest impressions, click-throughs, audience member growth, which is going to be very important. On top of that, we're going to be monitoring the website. You want to see if your website views are improving. On top of that, you want to know your bounce rate. Your bounce rate refers to how many people are falling on your page, but they're not staying on a certain amount of time. Higher bounce rates means that people are coming to your page and for some reason they're leaving. So if you're in a position that you're like, oh my goodness, I'm not getting a lot of leads. I think a lot of people are going to my website because I think this is happening. You want to know your numbers. So you want to look at your website, see how many views are happening. You may have it that your views are going down. I'm going to be honest with you. I realized that over the last 2 months, our views went down on the website, which is perfectly fine. Now we're going to be focusing on getting that back up. We're going to be watching how many views, how many unique visitors, how many visitors are coming to the site, as well as the bounce rate. Our bounce rate is extremely high right now, and the goal is at 79.24. The goal is to get it to at least 60% at the end of this quarter, at the end of Q3, so that we can actively start to figure out how to improve it for Q4 and definitely going into the beginning of 2023. All of these things are going to translate to marketing. You really will find that understanding marketing is going to help you understanding how you're expressing yourself to your clients. Are you sharing information that makes them want to do anything? And then once they do something, are they becoming lost as to what to do next? I like to share this type of information because we don't hear about these type of topics in our industry. But in other industries, these are must-discuss topics. It's important to know how your company is marketing itself, how are these things relating to customers, and how are you getting leads? Because you can feel frustrated thinking that business isn't happening, but if you're not sure how it's going to happen, then it just adds additional frustration. Now we're into the third and final part to setting your third quarter goals, is to now think about the financial goals that will come based off of the services you're providing and the type of results and strategy in which you're going to be focusing on. This is why I think it would be perceived as doing it backwards. In reality, you're building your goal for third quarter forward, because you don't want it to be that you are overextending yourself, having unrealistic expectations about what actions you're going to do, which then ultimately will have you frustrated. I want to see you win. I want to see more entrepreneurs in our space building sustainable businesses that are able to produce income. So I'm going to share with you what I then like to do is on my Asana board, I added up my Lux Giving goals. I know how much the amount of revenue each one of these brings in. So what I would then do is put what the expected revenue goal would be for this part of my business. So the revenue goal based off of the actions in which I presented would be roughly around $96,000. You may be like, oh my gosh, my company is not making $96,000. It took time for my company to get to that level, but you can do whatever your goal is. But as you can see, the reason why I can set this goal is because I'm clear about the amount of services that I'm wanting to actually offer. So what my team can then do is start to do intentional actions so we hit those goals. Compared to saying, oh, I want to have $100,000 a month, great, but what does that mean? How does that break down? What kind of actions are necessary to hit that goal? So you want to have clarity about that. In addition, you want to know how much does it cost to run your business. So I am going to show you, I like to actually recently started to, what I'm going to do is change this from revenue goal to profit goal. And depending on the type of business you have, you can know what's your typical profit margin. Depending on what your typical profit margin is, if your typical profit margin is 70%, you just multiply what your revenue goal is by 70%, so then that way you'll have your profit margin goal. Because revenue does not equate profit. A book that I would recommend to you is Profit First as well. And if there's any other books that you think I should talk about or recommend, I would love to share that with you. But I wanted to share with you these main steps to being able to understand how to hit your financial goal. We're not going to start with a financial goal and think about what that looks like. We're going to think about what we're going to be offering, how we're going to offer it, the price that we're going to do, being realistic about our capacity, and then looking at what we're going to do to bring these people in, because we got to bring them in. We have to bring them in. We have to know what actions we're going to be doing to convert cold leads into hot clients. So I hope that this video has been helpful for you to give you some insight or some transparency, let's just say, on how I go about planning out my third quarter. And if you find videos like this helpful, please let me know and comment below, because I really want to share more impactful videos that can help you grow in your business. Until next time, my friends, peace.